Yeah.
Okay. I'm calling to order the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Warrenville Public Library District for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. And the time is 7:04 p.m. So the first thing I'm going to do is a roll call. Trustee Lizon.
Here.
Trustee Pika. Present. Trustee Warren.
Present.
Trustee Schmidt.
Present.
And Trustee DeRocher.
Here.
And Trustee Phillips here, as well as Executive Director Jason Stillman. Executive Assistant to the Director is Jackie Davis, as well as Kathy Gatos and Lauren Rex and Ian Stephen and Mary Hernandez. The various department heads that are present. So the first thing that I need then is a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, by this motion by Trustee Warren. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Lizon. So then anything that needs to be removed or added or changed at this time? Then I would like to do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries and the agenda is approved. Okay, and then caught up here. Okay, so do we have any presentations?
Nope.
Okay, none. Okay, any public comments? None.
We're all behaving themselves.
Okay. So then any correspondence, which I believe is on page 3.
We had a nice thank you note from Community Food Pantry again for all the donations that we keep acquiring and giving them.
Yeah.
So even if they, it'll be in next month's packet, but they even sent a nice letter outlining how many pounds of food in 2025 we collected and how it got distributed and something along those lines. So they seem very thankful. So I'm glad we keep providing that service for them. I didn't get it in the packet, but we had a donation from a member. And just a nice little card just saying enclosed a donation of $100 to use for something special for the library. So,
Must be nice.
like,
Nice.
and then
We have to vote on
I sent her a thank you note to say we're do something nice.
That's something special.
And then we had a thank you card from Trustee Stoll and her family. The card we donated in Mother's name to the American Cancers.
Then moving on to the consent agenda, we can have a second.
Yes. Approve the minutes of the December 10th, 2025 regular board meeting. Receive and file financial reports for December 2025. Approve updated policy number 111, remote attendance and participation. D, approve updated collateral agreements certificate of authorized persons.
Okay, may I have a motion?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as read by our secretary.
Second. Okay, so it was moved by Trustee Lizon and seconded by Trustee DeRocher. So any discussion, is there anybody that has any questions or are we ready to take a vote on this? Okay, hearing none. And Trustee DeRocher.
Aye.
And Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Pika.
Aye.
Trustee Lizon.
Aye.
And Trustee Stoll votes aye, so the consent agenda is approved as read. And then, so now we need, moving on to 8A, on the regular agenda.
I move that we pay invoices in the amount of $104,725.19 for the period of December 11, 2025 through January 21, 2026, including electronic payments and checks 10905 through 10952 with no voided checks.
I second. Okay, so the motion was made by trustee Peacock and seconded by trustee DeRosa. So then, I'll do a roll call then. Trustee Schmidt.
Aye.
Trustee Peacock.
Aye.
Trustee Lazan. Aye. Trustee Moore.
Aye.
And trustee Stoll votes aye, so the motion carries and the payments are approved. So then moving on to item 8B, approving the transfer of funds, can I have a motion?
And move, go ahead, Sue.
I move that we transfer 200,000 from the commercial checking account to the operating checking account.
Okay, trustee, motion was made by trustee Lazan and seconded by trustee Warren. So again, I'll do a roll call vote. So trustee Lazan, trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Peacock,
Aye.
trustee Schmidt,
Aye.
trustee DeRosa, aye. And trustee Stoll votes aye, so motion carries and the.
I have a quick question here. Sorry, it's probably out of order, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What are we paying, what does this cover when we pay the Libraries of Illinois Risk Agency $21,000 and change? What is that?
That is our liability insurance package,
I just wanted to make sure that was,
annual
yeah.
thing, should say, covers I think it's a weird time frame. It's December 31st through,
It was just unclear in January, so I was interested. Thank you.
Okay, so then moving on, item 9, unfinished business, there's nothing underneath there.
Nope.
So we will move on to 10, where we have a lot of policies. So it's all discussions, we don't have to do any motions.
correct, all discussion.
So first one is A, which is on page 23 of your packet.
Yes. A new policy 112, public comment. So in reviewing the bylaws, which hopefully I did start reviewing those as well, but didn't get them finished for this month, so hopefully I'll have them for you for next month. But Article 7, Section 7, talked about public comment, but it was a small-ish section. And so given, like I said, how some libraries in the last 5 years have experienced a lot of public comment, to put it politely. I know Downers Grove at one point had public comment taking up to 3 hours worth of their board meeting. So while ours did state, the 3-minute limit and a few other things, it just felt like it needed to be beefed up a bit. So not that I'm aware of any issues that we've had in the past, but it's good to be prepared. In
I
case
think
there
this is great.
I
in
do
the
too.
future. So,
I think
Very
that
pleased.
it's better to be prepared than to be caught blindsided.
great.
Yeah.
So I think definitely that, we can change it, but I like that 30-minute
Yeah,
overall
That's
limit.
fantastic.
And then the policy
You have
states if
60
there's
people in a
leftovers.
room, each taking 3 minutes, man.
Well, they're probably saying the same thing to a certain extent, yeah.
So,
I like the idea that it's also blocking out of one organization, everybody in the room taking a chance at the 3 minutes, so you've got a limit to the whole thing too, so thought that was worth
great.
I think it's excellent. Thank you, Jason, for your heart.
Sure thing. Is there anything else to highlight? Any other comments or questions or things you think are missing or? Okay,
I'm sure we'll think of it when it happens.
that is true.
Then we're moving on.
Quick question before that, though. So for each of these, I will ask at the end. So tonight for the policy 111 remote attendance and participation, it's short policy and it was legal changes, only 2 of them. So it was very easy to just add to the consent agenda this month because I figured you didn't need a separate vote. So for each of these, I'll leave it up to you if you want it to be a regular action item next month or whether you just want me to add it to the consent agenda for approval.
We didn't have a lot of discussion about it or any additions, so I think it's.
Yeah, I think
I
it
was
was
gonna
done.
say, as long as we're doing it policy by policy and tell you,
Right.
this one needs to be on. So the first one, number 112 should be on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Mhm.
Great. And like I said, I think for this one, I'm gonna run it by Roger, just to verify that this is all on good ground.
Right.
And if he has some major changes, then I will not have it on the consent
Right.
agenda.
I'm
I'll
good.
just let you know what the changes are, but. Okay, great.
Then to item B, which is on page 26, the updated policy number 175, credit cards and credit accounts.
All right, so this, you can't, oh, I guess I didn't rate it on the, another policy that hadn't been reviewed in quite some time. Jack and I looked at it, didn't really have much to change other than some of the language. So, and I know there's one other one in the card holder is responsible for ensuring that the first bullet point says his for, I'm gonna change that to their. For just the neutral pronouns, but other than that, there really wasn't anything substantial, but I didn't know if you all had any other thoughts or insight.
No, it's very straightforward and well written.
So then to
Consent agenda then for next one?
Consent agenda.
Okay,
item C on page 29, reviewing updated policy number 120, purchasing and contracts.
yes, oh, did I, bids and contracts. So originally it was called purchasing and contracts. One of the things I was proposing was changing the name of the policy to bids and contracts. I'm sure maybe there is some legal precedent for using the word purchasing, but in my mind, the majority of the policy really just talked about the whole bidding process and contracts and contract language and whatnot. So in my mind, maybe you're once you do the bids, you're purchasing the contract. Maybe that's where that comes from, but in my mind, it is more straightforward to say that it is a bids and contracts policy rather than like purchasing it. Because in my mind, purchasing indicates this is also going to talk about all the guidelines for all the other purchases we make, whereas this is specifically talking about everything that's requires bidding, which is $25,000.
Makes sense.
So if you're okay with that, we will rename it the bids and contracts. So I deleted the definitions section, like I said, because there didn't actually seem to be any definitions in the definitions section. Like most, when you look at a policy definitions, it'd be like, you know, word or phrase, and then what it means, like, it doesn't actually have any definitions.
There's a placeholder.
So,
It's like a librarian.
so I added in, I moved bits of it from further in the policy, but created the new sections for bidding requirements and bidding exceptions. And a large portion of this is either stolen from the, for the bidding requirements was stolen from the Roselle library, but I like their phrasing, but it was essentially stolen from the statutes.
Yep.
And then my much more boring phrasing under the bidding exceptions is all stolen from the statute. We had, I think, 4 listed previously. I don't
Use
know.
the word inspired by. It's stolen.
There you go.
That sounds like we're doing something illegal.
Yeah.
But, so I went out to bid on policies to see which one would be the best one to borrow. So yeah, it was last reviewed in 2012, so I believe since then, the statutes have been updated, so I believe this list got longer, so it just seemed if we were mentioning some of them, we should just outright mention it all. But like I said, I kind of, under the bidding exceptions for numbers 11 and 12, I fleshed them out a little bit more just to put in a little bit plainer language what emergencies were. And then to try and say for the less than 25,000, you know, to try and get still do our best to get quotations, quotes from others and but try and make a decision based on, you know, quality and timeliness and et cetera, et cetera. So, and then I renamed the formal bids section, the bidding process. Added that you may possibly award to more than one. Sure, that depends on what the product is. And then I added on, under the contract language section, I added on the prevailing wage, item N.
That might be in the definition.
Can we just back up?
Yeah.
Where it says bidding process, item B, in that In that highlighted sentence, the board may let the contracts one or more bids. Wouldn't that be the contract may award the contractor contracts?
I like that language better.
Let?
I borrowed. It was
Oh, okay.
inspired, by a different policy, but
Award is better.
that does seem more plain language than let.
Let.
Okay.
Like that.
Any more?
That's good.
Updated policy purchasing and contracts or bids and contracts now, so it's called.
And then that last section, I removed to make a new policy, which is the next item on the agenda.
Okay. So then,
So do you, any other questions, thoughts?
Well done.
Yeah, like the prevailing wage part, right?
I think
Nice.
that was definitely important.
I don't know if. I think I don't know if it is still an actual requirement. It used to be.
Yeah.
You had to, I mean, I think it's a requirement that we have to follow prevailing wage. I
Right.
think there used to be a requirement that you had to, like, every year. Officially announce or something, and we haven't done that since I've been here, but
Right.
when I was looking at the couple previous years where.
Yeah.
Agendas, I didn't see it on there, so I didn't. I can investigate to see whether that's. An official requirement that we're not meeting, but I would assume no matter what. And that's why I added it in here, is that we are still obliged to follow prevailing wage.
I thought we had to approve it or something, though.
I would think once you've approved it, like, an ordinance wants to say we will abide by a prevailing wage in
Yeah.
Illinois, then that would be the end of it, but for some reason I had it in my head that at one point, like, you had to do it every year.
Well, you're gonna be talking with Roger.
What was that?
Can you ask the lawyer?
Yeah, I can, yeah. That's a good point.
I'm not sure approving it every year, we're not approving the wages. So
Right.
we have nothing to do with what they are, we're just acknowledging,
Mhm.
actually. And maybe we don't have to
You
do
know, I
it.
just don't remember the exact context, but it seemed like we had to somehow either.
I remember it being in board that.
I
For what
We did
reason,
a lot
I
of
don't
that
know.
when we were going through the building.
Yeah. And I know maybe that was part of the reason, but, so then, moving on to item D, page 37.
So, wait,
Sorry, what would you, for next month,
we're gonna put it on the consent
Consent
agenda,
agenda.
Please.
like?
Lisa, thank you.
Keeping this.
So, how does the secretary feel about reading all this now next month?
Better than all of us
Do I,
talking about
am
it.
I gonna? Read the entire policy or are we
No.
gonna identify-
We're just gonna have a lot of items
Yeah.
to read.
each of the policies.
Now, it's possible to check on what the prevailing wage is, isn't it? Don't they publish that? As a state type of thing?
I'm sure they publish
They
it
are.
somewhere. I don't, not aware exactly where that location is, since we haven't needed it, but.
I mean, that'll give
But
you
we
an
know some
idea
librarians who can find out.
whether we need to up.
Well, I'm sure it's.
Well, we just state we would abide by it, or any contractors we employ have to use the prevailing wage. We don't have to know what that is. I mean, until the time comes, but we don't have to, I don't state the actual number. Cause that'll change every year. We don't have to go.
So specifically, I think you might have to put some more in the emergency fund that's things get ramped up.
Oh, well, I mean, it all depends on what project we're doing. So
Yeah.
I think we just, when it comes to that project, we factor that into our monthly budgeting for it, whether it's. Yeah,
I
so,
was thinking of emergency type thing. So just with the code. Know where it's gonna be next time.
Anything else on the bids and contracts policy? And everybody's fine with it being on the consent agenda next month. So then on to item D, page 37, reviewing new policy number 122. Sale.
We're running out of numbers for
of
policy.
surplus property.
now we got. So this was at the end of the bids and contracts policy for formerly purchasing contracts. And while how I can see you purchased something in the past, so maybe now you're getting rid of it. It was loosely related, but generally that whole policy was talking about the bid process and contracts, and this didn't really feel like it fit. So I removed it from that policy that we just discussed and created its own policy. With several libraries have it as its own policy, so. I'm now, my brain is starting to bleed and can't remember how much I changed, but I think I just kind of organize it a little bit better and flesh it out a bit more. I suppose my one question for you was for disposing of items having no value less than $1,000. Do you want written notification?
No, it's necessary.
Maybe the only way I would look at it is if it was in a report. It was a significant item. It's $500, $700.
Okay.
That might be a compromise. I don't think we need to have notification that we're gonna do that, but that we did, it would be mine case.
Especially if it's artwork. No, I think too, it makes sense just from the, you could say auditing standpoint, so that, I mean, not that there would be a huge amount of items that would be being disposed of less than 1,000, but you know, if it's just summarized so that we're aware of it, I think
That, and that's kind of going where I'm, that we know where this thing went
right.
and how much it was worth.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't need to be anything formal, just to me, just part of the report. Last month,
Yeah,
we liquidated such and such, such and such to where we went with it.
mhm. Because I mean, I don't think it needs to be every little item or, you know, every once a
I don't
week.
want to know about a paperclip.
Yeah,
Sure, I mean, under $1,000 is still a fairly broad range of like, if it's over 100, like between $100 and $1,000, like, yes. I totally let you know, but if it's like,
The significance of the item.
Yeah.
So you might, and no offense, but you might get that piano evaluated and they might tell you it's $750, but if it was gone one day, I think we would want to know where it went.
Right.
Okay. Especially if it's an older thing, its value may not be significant.
then I'll leave that in, I think written notification. Would, how does it say? Following written notification. I can. Change following to with written notification. In my mind, following written notification means I need to tell you first before I do it, but. Sounds like you were just happy with as long as I let you know that.
Where the things went.
Correct.
So we know whether we need to raise your basement or not.
I've got a piano art.
Then any other questions on the sale and disposal of surplus property? So then we can move on.
Consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, consent. Yes, sir. All right, sure, nobody's gonna miss having a vote on every single item.
Oh.
I'm sure Jackie will be thankful for not having to write out all those minutes.
So then moving on to item E, reviewing updated policy number 135, fund balance on page 40.
This one's a quick and short one. Wait, no.
Do have several thoughts in places.
All right, so this one. And maybe in the end, I didn't mark it up as much as I thought I was going to, but I gave you the current policy and then the revised policy. So in terms of, let's see, with the corporate fund. Oh, so we state having 3 months. Worth is our target. And I do think that's still fairly standard, but in looking around at other libraries' policies, several had. Excuse me, 5 months, 6 months, there was one that had 9 months. Which seems ambitious, but a couple of them had. Target ranges, so some was like 3 to 6 months or 5 to 9 months. Sort of range, and so like I said, we kind of state that, you know, if we're over our 3-month target, we may transfer some to special reserve fund. Some of their wordings that other ones were kind of like, the target range is 4 to 9 months, and if it exceeds the 9 months, then we will transfer. So it's kind of a little bit more of a definitive statement. I can go either way. At the moment, like I said in my narrative, I think the fact that we are still hoping to whittle it down some more with the upcoming budget season, but since we're still running with the deficit budget. I don't know if we want to go increasing that because then we're immediately going to be shooting ourselves in the foot of not being able to meet that target necessarily. So I would say probably 3 months is still fine for now, but keep it in the back of our minds of maybe at some point, we maybe want to up that number a bit. I think 3 months is good, especially being in DuPage County. There's been a lot of chatter on the directors list there from all the directors in Cook County. Because some of them have not received their fall tax money yet.
Well, that's because the bills,
Because what?
the bills.
Exactly. But even so, they are, I think Cook County did some sort of new software changeover and it just hasn't been going well and so. So yes, I am thankful that we were in DuPage.
As a knee-jerk reaction, Jason, what would you feel most comfortable with?
Oh. I mean, I think we have
What do you think we should be aiming for?
eventually, I think 5 or 6 months. I think 9 months.
All right, why don't we try to aim for a 3 to 6 month window then?
That I was gonna say, I like the target thing, which is
That
how
sounds
I
good.
would refer to that, because that kind of covers both things and it allows us to deposit everything.
And then I think it's a good idea to, if we surpass the 6 month amount, then we should definitely deposit.
So I'm hearing you are for at least 3 months. That's.
Yes.
you
We
don't
should not be
feel-
any less than.
Okay, that's what I
Because
was
you
told.
just never know. I mean, it's there for.
Yeah.
To make sure
think
we are
the-
covered in case something
minimum-
goes wrong.
the-
So minimum
What I
3
would call
months
more
and one hope that,
solid is fine, but I like the target because it allows a little more flexibility
Yeah.
without
Mm-hmm.
committing us to anything significant. So,
Well, because I'd hate to think too that, okay, we've committed to 3 months. And then all of a sudden, hey, then we have to change it and we want to go to 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, whereas if we have that target, then it allows the float and you a little more flexibility. So. Rather than having a hard standard, you know, drawing that line in the sand.
that sounds good. I will rebook that. See. Oh. So the next item was. That I had highlighted on the revised policy was the working cash fund. Again, I could. Go either way on this. There had, I think earlier last year, 1 or 2 libraries have. On the lister talked about, hey, has anybody dissolved their working cash fund? And just rolled it into there. Only what, there was a very small discussion of 1 or 2 people participated in it. It is, in trying to do some research on it, I found a letter from Roger back in 1984. But essentially just saying, in essence, working cash fund is designed to provide reserve funds to be used during cash flow shortages. So, I mean, when we're aiming for that target, our 3 to 6 month target, it is our corporate fund plus the working cash fund. So I think back then. I could be assuming too much, but I think it was that working cash fund was a literal separate bank account. To not be touched in case of emergency.
And we
Nowadays-
didn't have any other, we didn't have a 3 month reserve.
Okay, right, so that's probably why we're creating this.
Right.
I think it was like a levy amount based on,
Yeah, we started doing that since I've been on this board. So basically at the insistence of our auditor,
oh, okay.
basically saying you guys ought to be doing this.
So I mean, I can double check with them to. See what, if they have an opinion on that, but these days, all of our monies are just commingled at the bank, so there's not a separate. Literal, account number for the working cash fund, working cash, corporate, special reserve, they're all just commingled. So, which in my mind, again, like I said in here, not really hurting anything, it's easy enough, it's the same number every month, we don't budget to spend any money out of it. It was just seeing 1 or 2 libraries discuss it last year. it was in my mind of, it's that extra line in the, for the accountant to do.
So
Well, I
like,
We could just have a corporate and a special reserve, and that's it. And as long as we, I think, are still aiming for the same target of that 3 to 6 months to have on hand.
well, how
Then
much
it-
is in it right now? And how often do we use it?
We have never used it.
Oh,
Because it's there for that,
that emergency.
that emergency.
I think as long as the auditors have no issue with it, I would be in
Yeah.
favor of eliminating the working cash, if that's what we're gonna call it, and using just the corporate fund from a transparency. And like you
Yeah.
just said, there's just two funds then, and it makes it easier not only for us to see what's going on, but for the voters and the public.
I would check though with the auditors.
Yeah,
first.
that's what I.
Okay,
I'm
then I can
sure
check with
there's no-
Roger too.
That mingling of funds, I'd want them to weigh in on, but
Yeah.
as long as they're okay on that, I think in the issue of transparency, it makes a lot more sense to just have the corporate.
Because I mean, I want to see it simpler and streamlined too, all the way around, but again, just to be sure legally and, accounting auditors, that we're straight that way, so that we're not walking into another problem.
Jackie, in your memory, have we ever used it? No. Okay.
But my memory's not always very good.
I'm with you.
Getting worse and worse.
Like,
So we have $225,847.
Okay.
that could
200.
significantly increase our
Interest.
month. Our 3 month,
Well, it's part of our 3 month.
okay,
So if you look at the policy, the revised policy or the current policy, the target is a corporate fund plus the working cash fund.
oh, I see,
Oh,
okay.
so it's.
So
one way
getting
to
rid
go.
of the working cash fund doesn't change our target, doesn't change our amount. It is just rolling that amount from the working cash fund into the corporate fund.
Yeah.
Just to simplify
Yeah.
the funds.
Yeah.
Simplify
But
and be transparent.
we are keeping the same target of having our 3 to 6 months on hand that we are not spending or touching because it's there in case of emergency.
And then ask the accountant if we get a discount, because she's got one less.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't, it's part of the budget, it's not on the budget, if you recall, like it is never there because it's not money that we've been spending.
I think this is less confusing for all people involved
Yeah.
with reading.
Because when I started, I was like, what is the working cash fund? Like,
Well,
because I don't think we had one at my former library,
There's a
so.
little bit of a. Like, I have a problem with the name.
Right, and it
someone
implies
else
that
like-
you can just dip right into it.
I just think if you put it in corporate fund, it's very clear that what it's used for. Working cash, what are they doing with that? Where does it
I'd
go?
say it might be a better time with a rainy day fund.
And yeah.
Or emergency,
Or
Yeah.
emergency cash.
And you have your reserve.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So in my mind, it just. Like, yeah, just to simplify things, since all at the bank, everything is commingled, it just seemed in my mind. It's to the same purpose. To just have it be in the budget, but I will double check with the auditors and I'll double check with Roger
Roger,
and. Go forward from there, so this may or may not be on the consent
I guess-
agenda next month.
Another question too is, okay, if both funds are in the same account, how would you necessarily, you could say separate them or determine what is working cash funds and versus the corporate funds? I mean, there's really no way to do that.
No, other than by paper,
Okay, so say,
And that's-
um,
really all it is. Is from our accountant's report every month, that first page that lists our fund balances.
okay.
The working cash fund has been sitting there unchanged the whole time I've been here and probably since the whole time it was created. It probably has not changed a bit because you haven't had an
Well,
emergency
so the
to.
working cash fund isn't just our 3 month balance then either, then, correct?
No, it's that, I mean, maybe at the time. I can't remember the specifics about, there was like a certain percentage based on your. Budget that you could this was like a one-time special levy that you could do. To create and have this working cash fund on hand.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, as long as it can be streamlined and simplified, there, it doesn't make sense to have it separate. And if it's commingled anyway, then.
I wonder if it would be a good idea to definitely vote on it and not have it on consent agenda because it deals with money
Oh,
and it just looks more.
Well, we have things on the consent agenda
And-
too.
Well, I also feel like depending on what the auditors and lawyers say, I may have more updates for it, so I feel like this one we'll put on the regular agenda. And maybe we won't have much to say, but, okay, great, and then the Alba Lemos gift fund. I wasn't here for that, but I believe it has been long since depleted for its purpose
I know.
that it was donated for. So I figured I would remove it from the policy because
Originally, she wanted more, it was a request that she wanted more audiobooks. And so, I mean, I think we fulfilled that, and again, so that's what I'm trying to remember.
And then the all other funds section I removed just because, like I said, I believe that was in reference to back in the day when we used to levy as a district. Specifically for the building and maintenance fund, the IMRF fund, the audit fund, I think there's one or two others. You all worked with Sandy and reduced all that. And so now we just levy once for the corporate fund. It's all rolled into one thing. So there really aren't any other funds, or at least not that I'm aware of. So,
Least expected.
yeah, right. So I think those were the biggest changes and questions I had. Any other thoughts or questions from you?
Okay, so if there's no other thoughts and questions, we'll move on to reviewing updated policy number 130, investment, page 46.
I've given up about this one.
This one was hard. Definitely not being necessarily a finance person. But so this one, like I said, I think it was the oldest in review. It hadn't been reviewed since 2009. So it's been a while. I know the last two audits, Martha had mentioned, hey, it's been a while. And she gave me, I think it was last year, after last year's audit, she had said, well, do you have an example or, tips or what you're looking for? She gave it to me and then I just didn't get around to it. Hence my push this after having our audit again this year. It's like, okay, we really should get this done. So, so some of the main things that she had suggested were there's a new section on sustainability goals, which roughly makes sense to me. But again, I was inspired from other policies. There's a collateralization, which we had like a sentence on it. But I expanded it a bit. So one of my questions about the collateralization is what percentage we want. Our previous policy, or our current policy, that is, doesn't state what percentage. Our current collateral agreement states that will be collateralized at 110%. But most of the examples I was looking at were 103% or 105%. So I didn't know if we wanted to, that doesn't mean we can't aim for higher, say at least 103% or at least 105%.
I think the at least should be in it, and that
I didn't know
keeps
if
us
we
up.
really wanted to go as high as 110. So we like the at least, and do you want 103, 105? Which do you like?
I like 105.
I do too, but
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I know that obviously bring it before the board if for some reason we had to do 103 or do something less than that. I like 105. I mean, if we can get 110, that would be wonderful.
And then look some of them up, but I added in the types of assets approved to be used as collateral. So hopefully that will make Martha happy. The diversification was another section that I think she was hoping we would expand, so that was very interesting in reading other folks' policies. Like I said, she recommended we be general. But there were some policies that were very, very specific of like mutual funds, 40%,
I think that's.
CDs, 35%, whatever, like they listed out the different types of investments and gave the exact percentage of your portfolio that could be invested in. To me, that seems really restrictive.
Yeah,
Especially since I'm guessing for a library of our size, like it's, you don't need to be
All
that
these markets
specific.
go up and down and, fluctuate, and who knows what's gonna be best at the time, if you don't have the flexibility to, you could say, change our strategy to what's gonna be best. So by standing firm on a percentage, it seems unrealistic because, like say, for instance, you say 35%, and all of a sudden you find out due to how well our investments are doing, it becomes 40%, and then we gotta sell that off, bring it back down to 35, so it's, at the same time, if it's doing poorly and sometimes you're down to 20%, why keep them throwing good money after bad and trying to keep it at 35?
I agree. So
Well,
having that flexibility. I think.
Yes, since we don't have a crystal ball or a financial planner, I think we.
And then one or two of the policies, like even had a, were specific and with a percentage about government pools. But like I wrote in my narrative, I kept that. We shall continuously invest a portion of the portfolio in readily available funds, such as local government investment pools or money market funds, to ensure that appropriate liquidity is maintained in order to meet that. So since we only just this past year opened the Illinois funds account, and that's a government pool, but they have very strict policies because it is specifically for government entities, so they know that they have to have very, very strict and safe
yes.
guidelines in investing. To me, like, I don't see the reason to put a cap on how much is there. Because I think as when we get to Barbara's report at the end, like Illinois funds did really well for us last year. So, so I don't necessarily want to hobble us that way. So I wrote it that way. So hopefully that's acceptable. Let's see, what some of the other. So those are the things that Martha has suggested I look at. But additionally, let's see, under delegation of authority section, it previously stated that the management responsibility was delegated to the treasurer. Which makes sense as a board, but in practice, I'm the one doing it.
Right.
So I changed the wording to be delegated to the director under the direction of the board and the treasurer.
Yeah.
In my mind, that
And
seems
That makes sense.
more accurate.
That's gonna be the reporting will cover the checks and balances issue.
So, it did meant, most of the policies mentioned establishing written procedures, which I don't necessarily have, but mostly because I don't think we've really been doing any investing of any sort for, I don't know when the last time we did, before we did this past year, so I can try and write up some general procedures, but to go along with that.
It might be easier to keep it flexible.
Yeah.
Not more often than, and not later than.
Or, making sure, get monthly statements. They can report for the board. General procedures like that.
It's just like the check report, something similar to that. Yeah.
So do we,
So for the authorized dealers and financial institutions, the previously stated that there was a list. I wasn't aware of any lists. I'm pretty sure if we last reviewed this in 2009, if we ever had a list, it's probably long gone or long since vastly changed. In my mind, it just made more sense that whatever investments we are considering, it will be approved by the board rather than trying to keep some sort of list.
Because everything changes.
Right.
Banks merge and everything else.
As each passing year goes on, it seems the world, whether it's companies or whatever, changes faster and faster. So keeping some sort of trying to maintain some approved list doesn't seem feasible or realistic.
So one thing I noticed is where you have it revised on for 2/19/25, and then that through 2/19/26.
Yes, it did. Thank you. Um. Under maximum security section. Yeah, section. Oh, I think our previous one was pretty generic, but a lot of people had, you know, investment securities that will not mature more than 3 months. No, more than 3 years from the date of purchase, but with board approval, it could be 3 to 5 years. So I wrote that in. I feel like probably in practice will probably be shorter than that, because even as we were discussing CDs last year, we were even wanting them to be done before the end of the fiscal year, so it just
Yeah.
tied up nicely for the audit, but so I'm assuming we don't want things longer than that extend past the end of the fiscal year, but I'm sure the auditors could give us useful guidance for that if we wanted to do, 2 and 3 year maturity, but it seemed good to actually just have some actual numbers in place as here are the maximums, no matter what. So.
So do we want this on the regular agenda or the consent agenda at the next one?
I'm pretty okay with it going on the consent agenda.
I am too. I don't, you're not checking, you don't feel we need to check with Roger or the accountant, right?
I don't think so. I was contemplating sending it to Martha just to be like, since she was recommending we get
She
an
knows you
update.
did it.
That's
So she
why.
knows we did it. And if she has, any big changes, then I bring those
Well,
back.
then you'll
but-
bring it on the consent agenda,
Yeah.
so I'm, Barbara, I'm good with it, unless there's something you investigate and find that may change our opinion.
Well, great. Check, that's a relief.
Okay, so then, moving on to item G, policy number 325, loss found in unclaimed property on page 57.
Yes. So Lori brought me an example policy. And said, hey, we have a bunch of lost and found things lying around. There's some of the libraries out there that have official policies around what to do and stuff. And I said, sure, that sounds good. Seems like an easy enough, short, direct policy to create. So I used the policy she gave me as an example and made a quick short policy. So, but pretty much just kind of gives us because I've noticed that there's a couple items sitting in Lori's office in the lost and found that have been there since I started. So in a couple weeks, that'll be 3 years worth. So this gives us the guideline and approval. Be like, you've had it for 30 days. No one's coming to pick it up. We can get rid of it. So I think that's the biggest gist of that.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Is this the only policy we have the statement about the library is also not responsible for theft to damage, the last sentence of your bold
Right.
in your opening
Vehicles,
paragraph?
I don't know why that's bold, but we might have it in the library use policy, but I can't remember specifically off the top of my head.
My only thing was, boy, I would never look at lost and found for whether we were legally. And that was my only thought.
That was my one sentence where it was
I
in the
think
other
it's
example.
way there,
I
but
wasn't sure if it actually needed to be.
It really doesn't apply.
yeah,
It
I just, I read it and I went, well, that's great, but I don't know how that goes.
Well, I suppose if somebody leaves their bicycle and something happens to it,
Right.
like while it's locked up outside. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it has to come out, but I just want to make sure it's somewhere else, because I don't think I would look for it in lost and found.
Right.
And your reasoning for why it's there is very prudent.
Did you think that line should stay?
Thank you.
If it's in the library use policy, then we'd be okay with moving it from,
No, I think
I
we
think
leave it
we-
here.
leave it?
Yeah, I'm not saying it has to come out. I just want to
Okay.
make sure it was somewhere
Just
else.
reiterate,
Okay.
or is it reiterate? I don't
Reader, sure, okay, any other,
So I guess one question I had, when we're talking about unclaimed types of personal valuable property. And then it's saying it's forwarded to the police department, is that when after it's been here 30 days, is that what the, or is it immediately we find it?
that was after the 30 days.
Yeah,
I suppose I'm thinking as opposed to immediately, because if they're going through their head and retracing their steps, they think, I left it at the library, and they might not think to go to the police station right away, so.
Because the only
I don't know, maybe 30 days is too long to turn in something like that, I don't know.
I like the 30 days.
I was trying to, the other policy had like this item, 7 days, this item, 14 days, this item,
Oh.
30 days, and I'm like, I don't want to confuse staff, I want it to be.
Just a general, there's just 30 days.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you probably put a stick-it note on it, what day it was found, and once a month, you just go. put it in.
Especially something of a value like that, you put a date on it.
If it's valuable, we put it in the safe.
Love, we do put a date on it.
The one thing I was wondering is I realize above when it says not claimed within 30 days become library property. And then down below where it's saying forwarded to the police department. Could it be made, like say will be forwarded to the police department after 30 days? I realize it may seem redundant, but to me, it just seems a little, if anybody was reviewing these policies. First, you have anything left after anything that becomes library property, but then we're saying, oh, it's some things are being forwarded to the police department. And I don't know.
Well, it also says they're being donated, discarded, or destroyed.
I mean,
All other items.
I mean, we can say items not claimed within 30 days, colon. And then these two bullet points, and
Right.
not become library property.
right,
I'm assuming that's a standard sort of a thing to say, but in my mind, I'm like, sure, it became our property, but then we're giving it away or disposing of it. Like, it's an odd thing to say, but I assume it was. The point of saying it became library property was so that we could do with it as we please, but
right.
I think if we're just generally stating that. It
We're
was
doing
lost,
something.
we found it, we held on to it for 30 days, made our best effort to get it back to somebody, and nobody claimed it, so now we're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
So I can just take out the becomes library property.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I think you'll have to be more than that. Feeling.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if you take out items not claimed within 30 days become library property, then just leaving those two bullet point makes sense.
Yeah,
wait, say that again?
take
If
the
you take out-
sentence out.
The whole set of items.
Yeah, the items not claimed within 30 days become library property, because we already stated you're storing it for 30 days. And then, so then if you leave the bullet points that unclaimed types of personal property will go to the Warrenville Police Department, all other unclaimed items.
It reads
donated,
better.
discarded, or destroyed.
Yeah, we said that. Yep, slick.
That's why it's part of the same redundant, I guess.
That's,
Oh, I know.
Okay,
So, yeah, just that one.
just the whole,
Who's in the engine?
play with that one. See how it goes.
On the next. Okay.
Sure.
So, and then is that under, right to consent then?
Sure.
Consent, yes.
So then the last policy for the evening, review new policy number 435, medical emergency on page 59.
There's just a typo on 69, it has the wrong number. It says 325.
Oh, it should be 445.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause 325 is lost and found.
Oh, sorry.
It's right on the engine.
Yes, should be
It is
445.
correct.
So
445.
The narrative.
So last year we added an AED. And we recently acquired more Narcan. So it seemed worth just having a policy that generally talked about that and what we had, and then that staff are trained, and it's a little more procedural, but that feels like that fits within the nature of discussing these items. But, so yeah, so generally just talking about our supplies, training, any legal relevancy. So for the AED, Narcan and gun in general first aid, so.
Is there any reason to have Roger review it
I think it'd probably be a good idea.
as a what it content?
Dealing, especially since it's dealing with another.
Well, and I'm concerned about that. Not only everything.
But I mean, his office sent out the memos of last year about the whole, the legislation about Narcan.
Right.
And I think at one point when we were working on the safety manual, I'd sent him a question about training. So I think it is worth 100% having him review this to make sure that I've stated everything correctly. Yeah, that we're within line.
Okay, I would tell you, you can only do 7 new policies for us to review next month.
I don't think we'll probably only be a couple shows. We won't have quite as much time in between, but amazingly, a lot of policies in the last couple of years, we have reviewed a lot of policies, current and new ones. There are still several to go, because we have, I think, a lot more policies than a lot of libraries do, which isn't a bad thing. But, and, you know, given COVID and short staffedness and whatnot, I think Sandy, you all had bigger fish to fry the last 5 years, so I think there's just a lot of these hadn't been reviewed in a while, so we still have several to go to review, because
You gave us a chart one time of all the policies we had, and there are amazing number.
yes.
And some of the topics, I'm like, oh.
So I feel bad. I know, I think one of my goals was to finish reviewing all the policies, but I don't think we're gonna get there. So, but mostly just because it's been so long since they've been reviewed, like I'm really wanting, and you know, first time for me reviewing them being still newish. I'm wanting to make sure I do full review and consider it and get feedback from staff and just make sure.
Unless you want to have longer meetings.
But
Things change too.
we'll have to have the time to do all that
Yeah.
sort of review and make any changes, but once we've hopefully gotten through them all, although at that point, then the ones we reviewed back in 2023 will be due again. But hopefully we can start getting to it a little bit more regular and have fewer changes, and it'll be, oh, here's a quick review, here's a done, and like we can review a whole bunch at a time, and it won't be nearly as taxing on you.
Oh, but I think it's been good for you to review them. It's a fresh set of eyes. And sometimes you can ask, I wonder why we have this policy, and you get some history too. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good exercise.
So, and it was good, reviewing the investment policy, trying to expand the section on collateralization, then maybe looking at our collateral agreements, really. And then finding, oh, hey, look, we never updated and took Sandy off and added me, so
Yeah.
that's why that was part of the consent agenda this month.
It's a good thing to do that.
So yeah. So it's been a good process. It was
It's tedious.
I enjoyed it, but it was also exhausting this past month. Yeah. Going through all of this. But any other thoughts about the medical emergencies policy?
Just, I agree with Jerry about running it committee by the.
Consent agenda or?
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
Sorry. Oh, so I think, yeah, that was all. So thank you very much for
Thank you.
your patience and actually reading through and listening. Reading what I, all the changes. Does that mean we're on to the director's report?
Yeah.
Okay,
I would like you to send me the link again for the.
okay.
On the last two board meetings, I was determined to go home and do it, and I didn't.
But it's
It's
just,
completely slipped my mind.
Fair enough.
The anti-harassment training I haven't done.
Sorry, I have.
It's very sorry.
Okay, I will resend the link.
I'm really sorry. And I really meant to do it and it just went way out of my head.
No, I've done it somewhere else. We have to redo it here too.
Do you have a certificate or anything from where? Send me an email stating that you have done it somewhere else and I will
Okay,
think that over.
you have to do it yearly, so.
Yeah, I don't see why you'd need to have to do it a separate one in every single organization.
Yeah, I have done it through work, but I have to find it. These are like, I'm gonna just do it.
I think it was 23. We found a very short one. It's very boring. It's just an AI reading a slideshow.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it was way easier than trying to corral you all to log into Paylocity, which has had problems. the previous
There are
year, so.
some typos in the slides,
well, it's AI.
which I was like,
There are typos.
you cannot read what you planned.
All right, I will resend that link to everyone. For March 6th, for our in-service day. For the CPR AED training, who is interested? So, County, yes, Sandy, yes.
Rick, yeah.
I have to, that's for a long time. I think.
Did you get ready?
Okay, so I would mind something like big run kids and stuff.
Heather?
Sorry.
Yes.
What, yes. Oh, March 6th. I just have to check with work, see if I can get the day off.
Don't have to.
No, I know, I'd like to, but I can't just say yes and then, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. They need me.
They need you. I would like to
Okay.
come to lunch, but I've been trained on this so many times.
I would love an update.
All right, 6.
I was just gonna put it in here, remind me to do that tomorrow. Otherwise I'll be like, what date is it?
March 7th. Great, for lunch,
I'm putting my name.
yes, yes.
I will, can I let you know
Yeah.
tomorrow?
What's that? I need your rose.
Rick, yes,
Yes,
for lunch?
yes, thank you.
Are they giving us a nice deal as well? Okay.
I don't know if it's, they're giving us a special deal or not, but I think we wanted to try and keep it in town if we could, so.
Yeah.
But I think it's
It's not a bad deal. We have the.
expensive, but it's I think a decent price for adding those and the food you're getting.
We'll have
so.
a menu next month, and you can mark it what you want.
Okay. Great.
Beard.
Heads up, someone we'll be talking about it soon, but the IDOT committee in Warrenville is doing the Smile Wave Repeat
Oh.
campaign. You may have noticed some items sitting over there as you came in. There might be a photo opportunity by the end of the evening, if you're still willing, if I haven't bored you to death with policies. But I think Kathy was gonna talk more about that.
Oh, yeah, it's at my church. I was like, where did I see that? I just saw that. It was at the church. They handed it to me.
Let's see here. Lots of things on there. We don't talk about them all. Civic Plus, the agenda management product. So it's just reached out. There's multiple different products out there. The general idea is that it's software that you can, online software, can put together the agenda and meeting packet. You can link documents to an agenda item. You as trustees can log into the board portal, see the agenda, click on items related, you can search for stuff. It can help taking notes. They bill it as, it's gonna save you lots of time. I
Yeah,
don't know that I really,
say,
and given the last time I asked, how many of you still wanted paper copies? I'm generally feeling that probably the answer here is gonna be no, especially, because I believe the price tag is like $4,000 or $5,000 a year anyway,
oh,
which I think it's a great product. I just don't think at this time, and for our size, their budget at the moment, I don't think it's worth paying that price tag.
I don't think it's gonna save. Because you guys put the agenda together, I don't think it's gonna save you a lot of time.
I don't think, maybe once you've got it all set up and you get used to it, maybe it starts to be faster, but like, we're not doing anything like super complicated or fancy, so I don't know that it's gonna save that much time.
I think it would be interesting to check with the city on what they use, because I think they are using a similar product from what I. When you find the agenda and there are links in the agenda for documents that support whatever's on the consent agenda. So I would ask them to see what product they have, if you're serious about moving forward.
I think it is that product.
It probably is, because Civics Plus is the same product for the social media archiving. So since they are using that for
Yeah.
that, I'm just going to guess if they're using something, they probably are using that.
And
But-
that's much more complicated, I'm sure, what they are producing.
So yeah, I mean, they have, permits and licenses and all those
Their
various things
agendas
that
are
they,
really.
right, I haven't really peeked at them, but just knowing from previous, like, I'm sure as a city, their agendas have a lot more to it. I don't know that ours warrant. So especially at that price tag. I know at my previous library, I had one trustee who really, really wanted us to do it. I'm like, he's staffed well enough and you want to spend this amount of money on this product that I'm not sure that most of the trustees are actually gonna use. I'm like, sure, it looks great, but I don't think it's worth spending that money. So, but I wanted to at least ask you all what you thought. It sounds like the general consensus is not interested.
I've been doing other policy and stuff. That's a car outside starting.
Maybe
That
you
does
so.
not sound good.
I think it's a-
Okay.
We'll get that taken care of before Friday.
Friday, speaking of, yes. Just, there's nothing to vote on, just wanted to let you know, there is a cold snap coming. So it is supposed to get, I don't know, depends on where you look, but -3 is a high, 3 as a high, +3, but one way or another, there's supposed to be wind chills and, -20, 30,
Pretty brutal.
40.
Very likely that the school district's gonna cancel school.
Yeah.
So, normally I think to myself, it's Chicago and it's January, but when I see a warning on weather apps that say, being outside and exposed for 8 or 10 minutes can cause frostbite, to me, that says that is actually dangerous weather conditions and it might be best for staff and public safety if the library might be planned. So you had called me today to ask about it, so it's on your mind, so hoping generally everybody's in support of that idea. But
Well, I do-
Building in now. No more building in mine.
Uh,
It is good. That's good.
I just want to say that there will probably be some parents who will have absolutely no idea what to do with their children. And
That's on a good day.
just saying.
Yeah, they can go to your house.
That this might be a good option.
Would it be, is it goofy to put a sign on the door that said there's a warming station at the park district?
Yeah.
That would be a good idea.
that might be worth. If we were to close, yeah. But yeah, I just, generally I am leery of weather forecasts, but they're less accurate about the snow, but they seem like they're usually fairly accurate about cold.
Yeah.
The bathrooms are morally more accurate than the good.
Yeah.
You're right about the school district, because I have friends who are working still for the district, and they're really talking about, having a remote learning that day.
So waiting
Last
to-
night, we were supposed to have 1 inch to 3 inches of snow. We didn't get anything.
No, not even a flake.
No.
Snow forecast, I'm always very leery of, because they've predicted snowmageddon, and then you're like, oh, there's 3 snowflakes that fall down. Then it feels like snow egg on your face when you've closed and then nothing happens, but I feel like when they predicted the cold, extreme cold, it usually seems to be pretty accurate, I think, so.
And it seems to be pretty well universal. There's not just one group saying yes and one group saying no. Everything I've listened to, they all are in agreement. So,
So, and,
yeah.
and I
that's
agree,
why think
if
it's
it was
fine.
just 0 degrees, there wasn't, the high winds that they're
The
predicting
winds.
and the wind, the negative, 25 wind chill or whatever. Then I'd be like, yeah, it's just a cold January day in Chicago, but when they add on those extra warnings, that's where I want to make sure that everybody feels is home and safe.
This Chicago, that's for listeners.
Well, we'll have to feel sorry for the poor reporter who gets stuck on the bridge over the expressway.
Oh, no, I haven't changed anything in my day.
Connie, Mr. Mayor and I, joined a Zoom call with the Imagination Library. It seems to be moving along. West Chicago and Winfield are on board, although they're still waiting to secure their funding. But it really does seem like the project is a go, so.
I'm glad to hear
That's
that.
fantastic. Thank you, Connie.
Well, I was coming to tell you that one of my college colleagues in Southern Illinois, he's been involved in that, and he's got big pictures on his Facebook, pictures with Dolly and everything.
We're gonna get a life-size Dolly cutout. For the library for.
He's very excited.
PR.
So thank you, Connie and Jason and everybody else who worked on it. It's great.
I've said a lot. Any other questions for the evening for me?
Yes, will we be able to get another quote, Jessica? Is that possible?
We shall see. Yeah, she was fantastic. I have
Sounds like she had a
doubts
good
that we'd
experience.
be able to get a freshman student as good as her again. That's not a reason not to do it, but
No,
I imagine they will ask us again. Nobody's asked us for this semester, but so maybe it'll be like once a year. Maybe they didn't want to inundate us, but I imagine they'll ask us again. Because
well, she'll.
I think she had a
report.
good experience.
I was
and
just gonna
We
say,
had a good experience having her, so.
and she'll
So
talk
is
to
that-
others.
So they approach you, then it's not us saying, hey, we'd like one.
But I think like Jason said, when she comes back with her report, 'cause I'm sure she has to write something. And she tells other students, that could be very beneficial.
Yeah, or even just telling the advisor that that went really well, so they're like, Warrenville's a great place, but. So. Which is great. My thanks to all managers for
I like that.
looking after her and showing her around and giving her a good experience, so.
Anything else on, the director report? Okay, and if you can move on to the department head report, starting on page 68. Been a wonderful job, everybody's very.
I have a blast from the past question, and it may have been covered while I was gone, but whatever happened with the radon remediation?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Face like,
no, I'm sorry too. I need to follow up with our company. At one point in the fall, they said they were having some personnel changes. He apologized for the delay. And then they went kind of radio silent again, so.
I just never saw anything about it, and I was like,
Because I had nothing to report, but I'm not happy with that. I should have followed up sooner, but I need to follow up with them to say, hey, if you can't do it, just tell me
tell us who.
so I can move on and get this
Yeah.
project
I
going.
just, don't want it to rear its ugly head when we don't expect it, and
Agreed.
that's the problem. And then Jackie, this is a question for you, Lee's expanding list of things he does he have a job description, or is it just a piece of paper that says, I'll do these as a sign?
Well, that's the very last sentence, like all of us have.
I just wondered, you know,
He just, and he takes on a lot of these duties on his own, and it's wonderful. I mean,
and my apologies, that might have gone to you, Ian, instead, but I think you've been reviewing the job descriptions, and we have for most positions.
Yes.
I don't know if he wants to.
So yes, he does have a
But-
job description.
Yes, it does, I think.
I just was like, wow, I wonder what his job description was.
Whatever he's asked to do.
It's very liquid, shall we say.
Yeah. That was it, thank you.
Like all of us these days, it seems.
And I have one other question, I'm sorry. 19 curbside pickups, that's great, but who are these mostly to? Mothers with children, elderly people, as myself?
Pretty much anybody who just want, doesn't.
So there's not a trend.
No, a number of them are older. But, I don't think that's a hard and fast, it's, you know, but we do have a few frequent flyers, that's why I always put how many unique ones we get.
Yeah.
So, we have a number of people, like if I see them on the shelf, I know they're going to have a curbside.
I just think that's great, and I think people don't know about it. I know it's difficult, a little more difficult for your staff sometimes, but.
It's really not that bad, because we don't actually take it to their cars usually. I mean, I've done
It's
it
on the
one
table.
time because I had a woman who called, and she said, my kid just fell asleep. Is there any way we can connect? And I said, yeah.
So thank you for doing
I
this.
told her, I said, pull up and tell me what, you know, let me know what kind of car it is, pull up right in front here and I'll run it out to you, so.
Thank you.
I think this is a programming. I should know, but I just don't know. What is Warrenville Horizon, the residents of
Yes.
here? Oh, okay, I see them. I like all the outreach.
Yeah, Diane's doing great.
Yeah, that's perfect
Created.
addition.
So any other questions on the department of reports? So then I guess on to my report, which is just outlining, the next several meetings, Wednesday is regular time at 7 p.m. regular board meeting, Wednesday, March 18th at 7 p.m. regular board meeting, Wednesday, April 15th, committee of the whole budget meeting at 6 o'clock. So, and then following that, we the regular board meeting. This getting people advance notice. So, I think that's it. So then we have the treasurer's report. Yay!
Well, my report is so full and I didn't write a word of it. I really think we have to give some congratulations to Jason for making those investment suggestions to us. Because he helped us make over 43,000
That's
extra
amazing.
dollars in interest income this year, which is a really awesome thing.
Yes.
And
Tremendous.
so yay, thank you, Jason, for doing that, for making those suggestions and for following through, because it was kind of a big pain in the neck, actually. But in Illinois funds was a really great thing that you followed through on.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the interest had dropped so much, but you know, things are very viable.
Yes.
Volatile, that's the word, volatile.
Not viable.
Well, I don't tend to understand exactly how it all ties together, but I know the Fed's dropped interest rates twice last year, so I'm assuming that is a factor, but right.
The fact that it was as high as 4.44 is significant. Yeah. Considering we were making 1.1.
Right. The 3.885 is still better than 1.89.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my goodness, yes. So thank you for that. And That was really great, and great news about our tax levy coming through in December too.
Yes, I was relieved. I was like, we don't usually get one in December. I'm like, why are we gonna be $20,000 short? And now we're not. Yay.
Yay.
Secretary's report.
I don't have a secretary's report, we're all systems go.
Okay, and then I don't think we have any committee reports. So any other trustee comments?
I have two. I just, thank you guys. Johnson Family Connection is supported by my church, and I'm so grateful that the library participates in that. So I wanted to say that, and then also, thank you guys for decorating the tree. It was a terrible cold day, and I don't know, it's expensive, but thank you for doing that.
I am so.
They're all embedded, then they're done that, it's always the coldest day.
Yeah.
It's always the coldest day so far.
Thank you for doing that.
I have to thank you too. Some of the font is larger in some of the reports. And
Yeah.
easier to read, so thank you.
So.
I will note that for the future.
Yeah.
I just went, oh, I can read this without my glasses.
So I was going to say thank you very much for the library on behalf of my family. We appreciate Jason and Justin being able to come out and donation to the American Cancer Society. So the one thing I was going to mention though, the Facebook post that I saw today about a gentleman coming back to the library. I'm trying to, what capacity was he somebody that had a user that came back?
No, he was here with District 200.
Oh,
He works as a paraprofessional at the middle school. He was, attending with a class. He wasn't the lead teacher, but he was here hanging with the gang. And Diana just grabbed me and she said, oh my gosh, Gabe's here, we gotta get Gabe. And I was just gonna take a few pictures and he just said, oh yeah, I'll do a video. It, for the amount of effort we put into recording Gabe, it certainly has gotten us a lot of views on Facebook. It's those spontaneous interactions that really turn into publicity gold for us. And Diana is always like, ready for stuff like that. And Gabe was great. And he was so, he came in, Diana was the lead in the program. And he was just so excited to see her because he remembers her from his time spent here as a youth. And he was also a team volunteer here for some time. So yeah, then he just did a quick video. It was fun. So my tagline was, be like Gabe, come back to the library, we'll see.
Any other comments or items for information and or discussion? Then it looks like we are up to our final motion.
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second. If you're complete.
Trustee, the motion was made by trustee Schmidt and seconded by trustee Warren. So do voice votes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so then we are adjourned at 8:27 p.m.